Ladies and gentlemen, Borderlands 4 is here, and if you're anything like me, then the elemental melee tank Amon is your go-to first playthrough. So here is a nice early game build guide for you to get you going. We're going to be focusing on the green tree, the cybernetics tree here, and this is going to be for level 16. The reason it's 16 is you don't get a skill point at level 1, so we want 15 skill points to get access to this first row within the actual branches. I'm level 17, but we will just ignore my last skill point. It's not a big deal. Reminder that the green tree, the cybernetics, is the crucible action skill. This is your forge axes, and this is probably, arguably, the strongest tree for Amon right now in the game as the balance currently stands at the beginning. I think as you look at my skill tree, you'll notice that I don't have just all of my points funneled into one skill at each level. You know, level 5 of something, level 5 of something, level 5 of something, and then this augment. I think that's a bit silly in early game. Some other creators might do that. No shots fired at them. I'm just saying early game in Borderlands, especially a new game like Borderlands 4, where we don't really know how everything works perfectly yet. I want a good variety. I want a little bit of stats going up across the board, give myself an opportunity to learn, explore, try out different play styles, and not feel like I'm funneled into one specific thing. So for my first 5 skill points, the order here isn't too important. In general, I put 1 point in cast iron, which gives me a little bit of cooldown on my forge skill, the forge skill being double-edged, where you connect your axe, throw it out, it's frost on the way out, fire on the way back. I also put 1 point here into Gathering Storm for Amon to deal increased elemental damage for duration, 1 point into Executioner for increased crit hit damage, and 2 points into Get the Lead Out. This increases your reload speed, and that effect is doubled after detonating. Detonating happens when an enemy that's hit with an axe during your crucible action skill is killed. I've obviously gone back and added an additional point here to Gathering the Storm for more elemental, but I did that later down the road. So by level 6, you'll have some forge skill cooldown rate. You'll be able to throw out your twin forge axe double edge very often. You'll have a little bit more elemental damage, a little bit more crit damage, and a general faster reload. Slow reload at the beginning of Borderlands games is often quite annoying. This helps out, and you'll see it synergizes very well with something in this next row. So let's move on to the next row. You can see here, I actually only dumped 4 points in. I put 1 in Tempered Pyre. This is where you get your little drone. When I do throw out my forge skill for double edge, the drone axe will come out and go start swinging at people. It starts off, there's just 1, and it is a fire drone, a fire axe. It's very weak, but it is nice to have that additional thing flying around doing a little bit of damage for you. It's even saved me in Fight for Your Life a few times. It's not super strong right now, but I am confident they'll buff it, and obviously I could focus more points in the future to make it stronger. You also naturally unlock this row, so you have 2 augments to choose from. Axe and Stone, you'll get some additional movement speed after you damage an enemy with the Forge Axe. That's decent, but I don't think it's nearly as strong as Endless War. When Amon detonates a primed enemy, remember they're primed when they get hit. Detonation is when they're killed after they're hit. When the axe is still stuck in them, you'll see the Forge Axe stuck in their body. A new Forge Axe will spawn and zoom somewhere else and hit another enemy. This is effectively like marking a target with the axe, focus on that target, kill that target, and then it will go mark someone else. You'll go focus on the new mark and take them out. And the reason this mark is so important is here with this augment in Endless War, gun damage increased by 15% per stack. Remember, you have 3 axes. You can hit the same enemy 3 times in theory for those badass enemies or even bosses. That's 45% increased damage with your weapons, assuming that the axes are still in there, and is actually really your best bet for boss fights as well, due to being able to prime and get that increased damage. It's like slag. Moving back to skill points for a second, I put 3 skill points into Bolt Action. Whenever Amon reloads, you get bonus shock for a few seconds. Remember up here with Get the Lead Out, we have faster reload speed. Now when we're reloading, we get bonus shock. Get yourself a Jacob's weapon with low mag count, and you're constantly dealing bonus shock damage. It's beautiful. And then for my 10th skill point at level 11, I actually went back to the first row and get myself more Gathering Storm for more elemental damage to help out across the board. Now we're level 11, we've spent 10 skill points, and we have the 3rd row unlocked in the base tree. So you'll see I have 1 in every single point here. I like this Twin Tempers because it does give me a second floating drone, this time a Cryo Axe. That can help a lot more than the Flame Axe. Flame Axe does a little bit of damage, but the Cryo can actually freeze enemies if it gets enough Cryo hits in. So I figured we'd see how it goes, get a few drones going. Again, they're a little bit weak, but I still like them. They help out a little bit. I think technically if you're going for pure, like most damage, you should probably avoid these and go with something else. You can funnel more into your reload. Maybe over here, more forge skill damage and detonation damage for your double edge forge skill. But I like the drones, so I'm using them. Bellows, whenever Amon activates his forge skill, the double edge, you gain increased gun damage for duration. That's a nice little buff there, 7% for 8 seconds. I'm using my forge skill all the time with double edge to get my drones to spawn, so might as well get some gun damage out of that. Vital organs is actually a pretty good one. It's a kill skill. When I get a kill, I have increased crit chance with guns for a duration. Duration is 10 seconds. Only 2% per stack, but you can stack it 3 times. And obviously this is only level 1, so that can get a lot higher and be pretty solid. So I have this mixture of higher crit chance after kills and higher crit damage when it does happen. Just a little bit of an extra buff to my crits. And finally, Herald's Call is an increase to my shock damage. I'm dealing bonus shock damage, but it's pretty weak at the beginning of the game. Give myself a little buff there. Now it's not too bad. And then reminder, I have another skill point and I went back in to get the lead out. So right now, at this point, we have 15 skill points invested, and we've also unlocked this first row of all of the branches. This is key because of this skill, this augment on the right, Searing Cold. Frock's Axe now applies freeze on impact. Oh my god. That's it. 100% proc. If it hits an enemy, they're frozen, unless it's like a named main boss. This is his best mobbing augment of any skill tree to my knowledge right now at the beginning of the game. It is so nice. You will not get the primed targets that continue to mark and prime each other in a chain as you kill, but you can survey the battlefield, get some target prioritization, say, wow, that's a badass, freeze his ass, and melt him. It's insane. So I go back and forth. If I'm just mobbing and doing normal gameplay, Searing Cold is my augment. If I'm going into a boss fight, Searing Cold's not going to work, and I do like priming for that extra damage, I'll use Endless War. So that's where we're at. When I hit level 17, I also put a skill point into Tempered Lightning so that I also get a Forged Sword flying around. Again, these drones are a little bit weak, but we'll see how that turns out. But as far as early game, if you've got this general variety of skill points, you have more crit chance on kills, more crit damage when you do, faster reload. On reload, you get some shock damage. That shock damage is buffed. Generic elemental across the board is buffed. You got a little bit of a smaller cooldown for your forge skill, your double edge. When your double edge happens, it spawns a fire axe drone, a cryo axe drone, and in general, you have increased gun damage when you use that forge skill. So we have a lot of small stat ups across the board to allow myself to experiment and play with all the different weapons that I'm finding. I'm learning the game. I don't want to funnel myself into a really specific playstyle yet because I don't know what's best. Again, I'll just keep on repeating it in different ways. I think giving yourself variety at the beginning of these types of games is just crucial. I know that by the time we get to endgame builds, it will not look like this. There will not be 1 point here, 1 point here, 2 points here. It's going to be 3 or 5, 3 or 5, 3 or 5. You're going to be using the best skills of each tree. I get that. But early game, you want variety. That's all there is to it. And across the board, my generic stats are up. I'm doing more damage regardless of what playstyle I want, and that makes me happy, and I'm having a good time. So there you have it, a little early game Amon Green Cybernetics Crucible tree build for you. The elemental melee tank, the best Vault Hunter if I do say so myself. Anyway, if you like the video, it does help me out. Subscribe for more of your second favorite F word. I'm your guy for Amon, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.